Good morning. Just wanted to catch up with a few things since we've never played Minnesota before. Um, it's really an interesting early schedule when you play an SEC rival in South Carolina. We played them 3 times in 5 years, and that's very unusual. Great game day, a lot of emotion. ABC prime times, great for both programs. Then you play the team that I said is the best in this state for the last 20 years. They've won 3 national championships, and they've played Power 5 teams, the best of anybody in the country. Won 3 of the 7 games that they had played before our game Saturday, and all the games within 7 points. We've played them 3 times, and it's a 3-point game, a 2-point game, and an overtime game. So it's about as tight as you can get. I probably misrepresented some things. We didn't make as many mistakes as I said. What we did is we had situations where we didn't execute properly, and we counted those as mental errors, not missed assignments. But if a guy had the wrong angle, if he was too wide, and we hit the quarterback about 5 times, we just didn't sack him. So we got to do a better job in coverage to get that done. But this is a national program, Big Ten program. So the hardest out-of-state or out-of-conference schedule I've ever had to start the season. 3 really good teams and very physical. So our team's having to step up, and then we go to Pittsburgh next week, and they're one of the most physical teams in our league. So unlike a lot of teams, we'll know who we are. We're not going to. They're going to uncover every concern that we've got in these first 3 games. So when we start ACC play, we will know exactly who we are and what we are and why, and because all of our concerns have been exposed. So that's made us work hard to get those fixed before we start league play. Minnesota, very quickly, PJ Fleck's a friend of mine. He's tough. He played in the NFL as a free agent and did a great job. They're very well coached. They're tough. They're 19-1 in their out-of-conference games, which is phenomenal, obviously. 5-2 in bowl games. So he's done an amazing job there. The thing they do is they keep the ball on offense, and a lot like App State, they're going to run it. They're going to have play action. They can spread you out, but they're a big physical team that's going to pound you, and very much like Notre Dame last year, and we didn't handle it well against Notre Dame. So that'll be a similar test on Saturday afternoon. And the other thing I said the other day, Eastern Michigan only had the ball for 7 minutes in the second half and didn't make a first down. I've never seen that. And I told our defense that you're playing a team that's not as good as you are, but still they shut them down completely and did a great job with it. And Joe Rossi's their defense coordinator for the 4th year, and he's done an amazing job last year, being 5th in the country on third down defense. And we're better on third downs now offensively. So that's going to be a great challenge. It'd be a great show for those 2 fighting against each other. And Greg Harbaugh is their offensive coordinator, and they're what you think they are. They're going to run the ball and be physical and use play action. And we're going to have a sellout, but we're going to need our crowd. The crowd really helped us last week, and it's going to be huge this weekend to have home field advantage, and looks like it's going to be a beautiful day. So a few questions before we get Coach Cross and Spencer Rollin in here.
Adam, you ready? Roll or kick us off?
Can't hear you. I don't know, Tyler, if you're not on or if we're messing something up.
Oh, can you not hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Adam, you want to
Hold
kick
on a
us?
second.
Mack, got me?
Muted so they couldn't hear in practice. There we go.
Jeremy's
Thanks.
new at this.
Mack, got me?
We got you. Thank you, Tyler.
I think Tyler gave me the green light, Mac. It's Adam. Hello.
Thank you, Adam.
Everything's running very smooth here. Well, I wanted to ask you, since we weren't expecting to get you today, and since you hopped on with us, obviously the NCAA took the step yesterday to name you and the people at UNC and sort of, I guess, pursuing a PR campaign against them. And what were their words? Troubled by violent and possibly criminal threats. It's a pretty sharp statement they came out with. How did that land with you? And I mean, what would your response to all of that be?
Well, but I totally respect the chairman of the Division I committee standing up for the volunteers and his staff, and that's what we all do. And if somebody is harassing the staff, threatening the staff, or has wronged the staff, then that's wrong, and that should stop, and it should stop immediately. And you don't want to create mental health problems for those families and the people that are involved, because they're trying to do their job. So absolutely wrong, and I absolutely agree with him. And that's exactly the same reason that the administration and I stood up for Tez Walker, because we thought he was wronged, and we felt like that he was treated poorly. It increased the stress for mental health. We had a player this morning, a freshman, that was late, and I've been coaching a long time, and when one doesn't show up, you're really, really concerned, because you never know, and your mind wanders, and you are worried about what happened to him. And we couldn't find him for like an hour and a half, and then we found him, and he was okay. But we're calling his parents, we're calling the police, we're really checking everything, and that's the kind of job we have. We are responsible for taking care of our players and making sure that we stand up for them and their mental health and their issues in life. And we want our players to be treated like we would want our sons to be treated. And you can't just say that, you do it. So when the chairman was standing up for his volunteers and the NCAA staff, that's all we're doing. We're standing up for a player that we feel like was treated poorly. And there was lack of judgment, because it's not about the transfer rule. When you start looking at the transfer rule, we're not dissatisfied with it. We're dissatisfied with the committee reviewing the waiver, because Tez's situation is different. He should be treated like a one-time transfer. So all this talk about, you're saying two-time transfers shouldn't be an issue when you griped about it. No, we want the waiver process to be handled properly. And when you didn't play at the one school, you've only played it at Kent State. When you transferred because they didn't have a season, and you transferred because of COVID. And at that time, our country was in a mess, and we were making decisions to help people. And we made a decision this time on process instead of helping a person, in my opinion. And then he's admitted on January 9th, and they changed the rule on January 11th. So we feel like that should be grandfathered. And there's other boxes that he checked that we feel like should have been that way. So we expressed our concerns publicly, like the chairman did. What we did is we are so lucky to live in a country where we're free and we have freedom of speech, and we can say what we think. That's the way you all make a living. And it's fair for us to stand up for our guy. And we can agree to disagree. And that's what we've done in this situation. Other than that, we haven't called for anybody to be hurt or anybody to be harassed or anybody to be anything else. But there is a difference in my life and some of the other people's lives that judge, because I have to live mental health with these kids every day. I have to tell Tez Walker he can't play. I have to try to figure out what to do with him because so much of his identity is football between now and the end of the semester. And then try to help him with options moving forward. So no, totally understand the comments, totally understand the concerns on the chairman's part. But we have the same concerns here and feel like it's fair for us to express it.
Just to follow up there real quick, if I can. And I hear you on that when you said, you're standing up for your position in this. Does this give you any regret when you hear the word threats being used and things of that nature? Do you have regret about this?
No, because nothing I did started threats. I mean, that's if they're having threats, that must have come from somewhere else. Nobody I know is threatening anybody. So all I'm doing is taking up for our player, and that's my job. Anything else before we get off?
Andrew,
And I'm totally opposed to anybody who is out there threatening someone, period, regardless of whether they're volunteers of the NCAA, on the NCAA committee, or at UNC. We've probably gotten some bad emails here. I get them all the time. I could call some of those threats. I get them every day. But I move forward and do what's best for our players.
Andrew.
Coach, I'm going to stay on that. It wasn't a very thinly veiled allegation, though, that the comments that came from you and from Bubba may have incited these threats because they kind of lumped it in together. So with that, is there any recourse on your part, either privately or publicly? And how do you handle something like that when you just said you had nothing to do with it, but they put out into the public bloodstream that they think that you did?
It's a great country where we can have an opinion. I mean, that's their opinion, and I hate it that they feel that way. I hate it that somebody's having threats, but I still feel very strong that my job is to stand up for Tez Walker because his life has changed as well.
To put a bow on this, is this it for you guys? Is this the last time maybe you comment on it, you move forward because the season continues, Tez is not going to play, and both sides have sort of said what you have to say?
Yeah, I was already through, and I wasn't going to mention it today till you asked me. But I figured you'd ask me. As far as I know, I know that the university and the board of trustees are still looking at the best options to help a young person on our campus. And that's what the chancellor does. That's what the AD does. We are all trying to help our young man make some sense of this and have a better life. So that's all this is about. And like I said, I've been working on Minnesota. This came from nowhere yesterday, and it is what it is.
Thank you.
Jeremiah.
Mac, in the statement, they mentioned that, in looking at some of these waivers, they have a panel of mental health experts that they kind of consult, things like that. At any point in the process, and I know you've kind of talked about, what communication may or may not have been there with the NCAA, but were you ever given any kind of maybe explanation as to, what the setup of that mental health panel is like and the types of people they consult or anything like that?
Jeremiah, I haven't, but again, Pat Suddas, our general manager and compliance, and Bubba Cunningham did most of the process. I was not that involved with it, and none of us could talk on the day that they talked to Tez. They wouldn't let Bubba talk. They wouldn't let his lawyer talk. They only wanted to talk to Tez. So I don't really know that much about the process.
Luciano.
Hey, Coach, it's great to see you and thank you for your time. Sorry to insist on it, but multiple people have come out supporting your claim, and I've just finished reading an extensive article saying that you should play Tez anyway. I'm not asking you if you have considered that, but how do all those comments make you feel about your claim and your position?
The only thing that's important here, Luciano, is what's best for Tez Walker. This is not about me. It's not about anything else other than his well-being. And so much of a student athlete's identity at this age is playing. And here's a guy who's a potential pro prospect. Here's a guy who was already on the Senior Bowl list. Here's a guy who had opportunities to make a lot of money with NIL, and all that's gone away now. So what we have to do is number one, we wanted to make sure everybody understand that we didn't like the process. None of that trying to hurt somebody. And secondly, now we've got to do what we feel like is best for him. There's a lot of people that are looking at the different options and possibilities for him. I'm not in that group. That group is the university, and I love the fact that they've stood up for the young person, because it's unlike any other student here. It's not, I mean, every student here, we should do what's best for them and take up for them. And that's who we are and what we do. So there's a lot of people looking at the possibilities right now. And I don't know what those are. As far as I know, and I know he's not going to play this weekend.
Adam, wrap us up with Coach.
Yeah, Mac, wanted to just double back real quick. I was thinking about Monday. There was a lot going on Monday when we talked to you, and you had mentioned that you and Lonnie had to give Tez the news that they had denied him again. I mean, can you take us maybe a little bit inside that conversation? And, I'm not trying to get you in trouble again, but is it sort of bogus that you're the ones that have to tell him that they are the ones who denied him, if that makes any sense? Like, can you just tell us, maybe give us some more insight there?
Yeah, Adam, I think the most important thing is what's best for Tez Walker, period, 100%. And we wanted to tell him in person. We wanted to make sure he was okay. We wanted to make sure that night he was okay, and where he was going to be, and be around friends and people that he cared about. Because we constantly are concerned, as I said about that young man this morning. I am responsible for every one of these young men to their parents. And this morning we were talking to a parent when we weren't sure where the young guy was, and we couldn't find him. And that's a frightening thing. And everybody loves their kids. And when we take one here, we're responsible for them. So I'm not going to apologize for standing up and trying to do what's best for our young person, and making sure that he understands that we have exhausted every possibility that we can to help him. Because if we haven't, then we're not doing our job. And none of this was to embarrass anybody, to get anybody threats. The only thing we've done is take up for our player. And I'm very proud of that. And if I had to do it over again, I'd do exactly the same thing, because I was shocked when he didn't get approved. His eligibility didn't get shocked. And I felt bad because I had probably made him feel like the process was going to happen, because I thought it would. And then I felt so bad. We had to tell him twice in a week that he wasn't going to play. And that's the other thing, Andrew, we were talking about. You don't want to get him excited about another possibility and then be crushed again, because that's a load emotionally. And as I said, there was a time last week we didn't know if he was going to stay in school. We didn't know if he wanted to play football anymore, and we had to deal with all that. And that's the other part of this story that people don't understand and realize that's real too. There's some hurt on the other side. Well, there's a lot of hurt on this side too. And I hope the hurt cleans up on the other side. I'm responsible for helping it be cleaned up on this side. Okay, thank you. And I'll see you Saturday, and enjoy Spencer. Spencer's a great person. He had a 3.8 at Harvard. He's in Keenan Flagler Business School. He's up for the Campbell Award, and has been a huge blessing for our team as an offensive lineman, but also as a leader and a person. So enjoy him.
Thanks, Coach.